Hi, my name is Three Wise Radio.
Hi, Three Wise Radio.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Can't wait
Awesome.
For that. Can't wait for that Bumblebee movie.
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee's getting his own movie. Did you not know that?
Oh, Bumblebee the Transformer. Sorry. There were like three things that popped in my head, and none of them were that when you said Bumblebee.
B movie?
First was...
It's the Bumblebee
Jerry
movie
Seinfeld.
voiced by Jerry Seinfeld.
Yep. Second was Bumblebee Man from Simpsons. And third was like some sort of weird mutant Bumblebee thing. It was not Transformers.
We were just
At
talking
all.
about Transformers.
Jesus.
It makes no sense.
Still.
More on none of that today.
Exactly. Welcome to Three Wise Radio, a podcast where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, technology, the internet, and pretty much everything else media related. My name is Joe Greller. I am joined as usual by Garret Welker and Sam Pixley. Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Joe.
What a great day to be alive, Joe.
Why is that?
I don't know. Saw a movie. I got a great piquing my interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. I'm glad it's a huge day to be alive for you.
Beats the
Oh,
alternative.
no. That brightened my day. Thanks, Sam.
Well, I'm just kind of monotone, so let's tell you what we got going on this week. This week, we have Logan review for you because, obviously, Logan debuted in theaters to $85 million.
Boom.
So, a lot of people have seen it. If you have seen it, enjoy our usually very quickly spoilery review of Logan later on in the show. But we'll also be taking a look at how do you write a final superhero installment, because Logan is quintessentially the last Wolverine story. And there's been many different comic books that have done the last superhero story, but Logan's the most famous one and maybe the most poignant one after this movie as well. So we'll look into that as well. But first and foremost, as usual, some headlines jumping in with the X-Men universe. X-Men producers have said future projects will move beyond Professor X and Magneto's relationship, finally realizing there are other stories to tell.
If only they had Days of Future Past this and did this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I would agree. See, here's the thing. I agree with them 100% because The Last Stand was garbage, because not only did they kill so many characters.
Tell that to Frasier.
Kelsey Grammer was the only redeeming quality of that entire movie whatsoever. But no, not only did Last Stand kill a bunch of characters, it was literally the Xavier versus Magneto dynamic all over again. The Brotherhood of Mutants was the enemy again, which the X-Men, in my opinion, may have the best villain rogue gallery outside of Superman, Batman, and Spiderman. Then in my book, next it goes X-Men, as far as rogue gallery of villains that you can use.
They just have a lot.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, they've got numbers.
Yeah. And when you have numbers, you should be able to use more than 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will agree with that.
Took us 16 years to get a second one, or a third one, I guess, because you count Weapon X. A third one in Apocalypse,
Yeah.
or fourth if you want to count Sebastian Shaw and the Hellfire Club. And we're still not even tapped into Sinister. We just now finally got the Reavers and Logan. There is also Mojo, Arcade. Those are two big ones that I would love to see done on the big screen. There is, I'm blanking on a bunch right now, but trust me.
There's stuff in the Savage Lands.
Yeah,
Sauron.
who's the...
Sauron.
Thank you. Yeah, there's Sauron.
Who is a pterodactyl man.
Yes.
Mostly pterodactyl, but he wears pants.
But it can hypnotize you. It's kind of like a werewolf type creature as well.
Yeah, that character makes no sense to me.
Makes perfect sense.
He's a pterodactyl that wears pants and hypnotizes people. What more do you need? I need less.
There's also the whole acolytes that they've never touched on as well. There are so many villains you can use in the X-Men universe, but yet, yeah, for some reason we keep wanting to go back to the Charles Magneto dynamic.
Because it's one of the best dynamics in comics.
Yes.
That's
it? Okay.
That's it, though. I mean, there's a reason. It's not like they're just like, why do they keep doing this? It's because it's such a captivating argument.
And that's the thing. And the only time I was okay with them going back to it was Days of Future Past. I felt it worked for Days of Future Past, but then again, Apocalypse, you wasted that villain, and at the end of the day, it was Xavier Magneto again.
Yeah.
Magneto's powers is used for that in every time. Anyway, Lauren Schuler Donner who I believe is related to Richard Donner. And that's how she got...
Jeffrey Dahmer?
No, Richard Donner, the director of Lethal Weapon, the original Superman.
Okay.
Lots of other movies I'm blanking on right now. But very well-known director. I believe that's how she got her stuff. She's talking about the X-Men franchise moving forward. And she says, while they're always essential, there are other stories to tell. The stories I want to see told is what the Ultimate Universe did after they killed off, finally, Xavier and Magneto. Yeah. And you kind of set it up with the end of Logan, which we'll get into.
Goddamn right. That's what I was going to say. You got it. It's here. Just do it.
Yeah, it's what happens after Xavier and Magneto are gone.
Yep. Your figureheads are no longer there. You have to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah. What do you do?
By the way, you're angsty teenage kids that have powers. Just like, you know, fucking X-Men.
Right. That, to me, is the best story. And that needs to be what these X-Men movies are going forward.
Not that we're saying if Logan's good or bad or magnificent.
Right.
Not that we're saying anything like that.
Maybe the latter. Anyway, in other movie news and in a slew of casting news, the Tron reboot is going to star Jared Leto.
As it should.
This is according to the Hollywood Reporter. So, yeah, Jared Leto in Tron. Did anyone even... I liked Tron Legacy, actually.
Yeah, Tron Legacy was good.
It was dope.
I thought it was really good.
I don't know if it merited another one.
No, but do you want to reboot? Like, do you want to go back to the Tron universe? Like, Tron worked as that movie, one of the few movies I thought that works. I thought Rocky Balboa worked, Tron worked, Indiana Jones not so much. Where going back to or trying to create a franchise or going back to a sequel
trying to recreate it.
Yeah, 20 years later. Tron was one of those that worked, especially with the technology achievements and in video games and everything you could do. Mm-hmm. And it had that nice mix of old video game look to it with also, though, the modern age stuff as well.
I wonder if they'll mix it up and do something kind of different that like maybe incorporates social media and something like that. You got to do something
You're
different.
trapped inside Facebook. That's like that's a horror movie. That's not a Tron movie.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying give it a little bit of an edge. Olivia Wilde was great in that.
Yeah, she was.
She's good.
So you start from scratch with this.
I think you just mix it. Yeah, I think you do something different. As I don't think you're going to be able to tell that story again because Jeff Bridges is out.
Well, yes.
So you got to mix it up. You got to do something else that's in a similar vein. I think the note you obviously, I mean, maybe it's too obvious, but the note that you hit on is how our lives are already consumed by games.
I'm talking like a fresh start, 100%. No nods to like, oh man, this arcade game and these things, once upon a time, and these two people escape. Like no nods whatsoever to the original two. To me, if you're going to do it, that's how you do it. You do maybe an Easter egg here or there, but like no nods where this is a continuation, but it's also a new thing. Like no, start fresh. Bridges never existed. Legacy never existed. Like none of this stuff existed. Boom, day one, go.
Yeah, maybe.
That to me is the best way to approach a reboot always. Too many times we want to do the nostalgic factor of, oh man, yeah, it's a reboot, but also if you want, it could be not everything is Star Trek. Not everything is different timeline.
Most things aren't Star Trek.
What?
Most things are not Star Trek.
Lately, they have been, though. Lately, anytime you do a reboot, it's like, oh, man, but we've also got our hand in what used to be here, too. So if you want, it's all still one giant story. And I don't want that. I want reboots to be straight-cut reboots again or straight-cut remakes again. What's wrong with remaking Tron? Just remake
Nothing.
it. Don't reboot it. Remake it.
You know what, Joe? It's done.
No, I wish.
I will bestow it upon the world.
I wish I had that power.
No more reboots. Does it work like that?
No.
If I were Scarlet Witch?
Yes, but
Damn it.
no. In other casting
tried,
news,
though.
also with Disney, this I love because I love this actor. Michael K. Williams has been cast in the Han Solo movie. However, details about his role have yet to be announced. He was most recently in the Assassin's Creed movie, but in case you don't know who he is famous for playing Omar on The Wire and Chalky in Boardwalk Empire. I love this. I don't know who he's going to play, but this guy is one of the best actors in television, and
did you see that?
That is great.
I'm not
in the
one
movie.
for political things, but did you see that commercial that he did about?
I've seen the beginning of it, and they always say, to see more, go to this, and I never go to anything.
I watched the whole thing. It was actually really good. Garrett, have you seen this?
Mm-mm.
So it's him talking to himself in like different
3 different
like,
roles at least. Or 4.
I think 4. I think it's 4. So you have him that's in like a thug version. You have him that's like a crotchety old man. You've got him that's just regular him, and then you've got another one that's kind of like a preppy kind of version of him, and it's him just communicating to himself about how like typecasting isn't a thing anymore, and it's every character there trying to break down like who he's played, and did he make the decision to play those characters, or were those characters given to him because those were his only options?
Oh, whoa.
It was actually really interesting. He's like, I could play the president, and they're like, could you? It's like, yeah, just the opportunity hasn't come up, and things. It's very interesting. I think he did a really good job of it. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It's interesting. I don't know why they did it.
I don't know why they did it, but once again, I think that speaks out volumes on the actor himself.
He's great.
Like, I'm biased because I love Boardwalk Empire, but his story arc as Chalky is basically an up-and-coming African-American in the 1920s when segregation is still very much a thing, and seeing how he used that to his advantage and is like, yeah, I'm kind of an Uncle Tom, but then all of a sudden the entire prison's with me, and they're not white, but they're against you because you're speaking out against. Like,
if people don't think much of you, you're able to play the game.
Yes, he plays that character so brilliantly. In other casting news, we've barely talked about the new X-Men series coming to, I believe, Fox. It will be.
Oh, the Runaways?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's what it's called, directed by Bryan Singer. Or the pilot will at least be directed by Bryan Singer.
I think there's two, right? Isn't it like
there's
X-Men
Runaways and there's New Mutants as the new movie.
Yeah.
So this one will be directed by Bryan Singer, and it'll be about... See, I don't know which one's which, because this one will be about a family that has a mutant child on the run from the government.
That's New
probably
Mutants. I don't think that's Runaways, even though it sounds like it would be. I don't know. Who cares? Oh, we do.
Anyway, Stephen Moyer's been cast as the father, and
Happy.
Amy Acker has been cast as the mother. They'll be the leads in this movie, or TV show, and will have a mutant child on the run from the government, and they will also be trying to protect the child, hiding out from the government, and they will be surrounded by Blink, which has been cast...
That's New Mutants.
Jamie
Chung.
That's
Nice
New Mutants.
lady.
That's New Mutants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Told you.
And then it's also got Emma Dumont will play Laura Dane / Polaris, who I used in the Danger Room last week, and a couple other people as well. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm actually excited because Legion's gotten good reviews.
They might be going down the right path with this, with saying like, okay, because X-Men again works as a universal thing of
right.
It's about these freaks, like it's what you always say. You like Superman when he's treated like an X-Man. Like,
exactly. Yes.
It's about these people that are shunned by society. It's not a written thing. I like in the comics when it's not a written thing to like, we have to destroy all mutants. Like, that's a subsect of the government. Like, so it's not a mainstream thing, but it's essentially racism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Towards mutants. It's about surviving in that element, living in that element, but everything's heightened because you can also like destroy a building.
You could fight back.
Ability.
You have the power to fight back if you want.
Or
sometimes you don't, depending on your mutant ability.
I have the mutant ability to write on a piece of paper with my hand
without
a pencil.
We talked about this. It was one of your piquing your interest years last year.
Good memory, Joe.
It was the
mutants had the ability to blow himself
up
once.
I can't remember the name of the comic.
Oh, it's
the
like
worst mutant ever.
Something
worst mutant ever.
Yeah,
like,
it's like Gary, worst mutant ever.
Yeah, like that. That means sometimes those are interesting stories.
So I think if they're pursuing this avenue with, again, like kind of what we saw in Logan, which we're not saying if it's good or bad or magnificent, character pieces work well for this universe. There was a big issue that they had in all of the other movies. It's like, this time the X-Men have to save the world. This time they have to save the world. If you actually read a lot of X-Men comics,
it's all personal.
It's talk. A lot of it is talk, and there's some combat or threat of combat. But I remember, especially in the Ultimate Universe, I remember reading, and there were just comics where there weren't fights.
Yeah.
Like, it was just chat. It was just political agendas and things going on.
Or there would be fights, but it'd be because someone was kidnapped by an organization.
Off screen or like a different storyline.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be fights within almost like a political realm, in the sense of we're fighting other mutants as how do we go out and voice what is the best way to achieve our progress. It's not stop someone, like once or twice or stop Magneto from destroying the world. But other than that, it's no, let's stop this little group from manipulating this person. Let's stop this person from running off, because you're trying to hold your close-knit group together. And you're like, guys, we're stronger together, and the only way to achieve it is through peace instead of violence.
Though.
Well, yes.
And that's the thing that you I mean, we don't need to go too much into detail, but that's exactly what you want. Like, Xavier and Magneto stood for something, but that doesn't mean that when you start it fresh with new people, again, those different ideas will divulge. And just like it did,
just don't have two figureheads.
But the thing is, just like it did in Ultimate X-Men, is like those figureheads start to emerge by themselves because people believe in different things. That's the whole point of X-Men.
Yeah, 100%. So like I said, if Legion is any indication of how good the TV universe could be, Gary, I know you've watched some episodes.
Oh yeah, it's great. Like I know I was telling you guys about this the other day, but like the narrative, like visually, it's all very like trippy and just like all over the place. Right. But it fits. It creates that narrative in it of him being so fractured mentally, and you haven't really seen a lot of powers develop yet, but like episode 3, like you've seen kind of the tip of the iceberg, and it's like it's getting there.
Things are starting to manifest.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. So I'm actually more excited for the future of the XMen TV universe than I am the movies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Unless they're individual pieces.
Unless they pull the right trigger, which we'll talk about.
Right.
I didn't realize that the New Mutants was going to be a show. I thought that was going to be a movie.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Whatever. All I know is this. I think this one is technically titled just X-Men.
Maybe The Runaways is supposed to be a movie.
The Runaways is supposed to be a movie, but that's not even a mutant thing. That's where the parents are supervillains.
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's the one where the parents are supervillains and they're all revolting against their parents.
Yeah, you're right.
But that is a Marvel property, I believe.
Who knows?
In final casting news, Ra's al Ghul is coming to Gotham because why the fuck not? And he was cast by Game of Thrones and Star Trek alum Alexander Siddig. No clue who
this guy
is.
look like?
He plays what's his name? The Viper's brother. It's good casting.
Okay.
It's good casting.
I'm okay with that.
However,
what's he doing, Joe?
Ra's al Ghul will be the head of the Court of Owls.
That's dumb.
Explain.
Is it though?
Yup.
Explain.
Oh, God.
I mean, like I know the stories, but like, why do you think that's dumb?
Because Ra's al Ghul,
Ra's
al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul.
Danny O'Neill said Ra's. It's Ra's. Although I will say I loved Arrow's distinction of that, where the people who know Al Ghul say Ra's.
That's the people that are on that part
are,
of the area call him Ra's, and the people that aren't from that area call him Raz. It's the same way things are pronounced differently in different countries.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I do.
He's pronounced properly in Batman Begins. Raz al
No, he's
Ghul.
not. No, he's not.
Just by that one
It's pronounced
lady.
properly by Kevin McCoy. Wait, what did I say his name right? Kevin Conroy. God damn it.
Colt McCoy.
Yes, by Kevin Conroy, because he talked to Danny O'Neill, the person who created Ra's al Ghul, and said it's pronounced Ra's. That's why it's always pronounced Ra's in the animated series.
Yep, I know. It's still better in Batman Begins.
I mean, I feel like it makes sense though, as you combine this narrative that you get from the Batman Begins movies and combine it with of Ra's, and then you combine it with the Court of Owls story, and it's like,
right, but Raz/Ra's isn't a thing. Like, that's not a Jim Gordon thing.
oh
And
no,
you could argue
no,
that
and I agree
but
with
the
that.
key point is that the Court of Owls is a separate entity from the League of Assassins.
Yes.
If the Court of Owls
And Court
is
of Owls
just
should not come in this early in Bruce
if
Wayne's
the
life.
Court of Owls is just a hand of the League of Assassins, then the Court of Owls is just the Assassins in Gotham. It takes away from what's cool about the Court of Owls.
Yeah.
So that's
Which is that
why.
they've
So
always
do you
been
like
around.
Gotham or not?
Oh, he hates
Oh,
Gotham.
Gotham's the best show on the world.
He hates Gotham. I wish we were doing this podcast a year earlier than we started, because you would see the 180 Sam did just within the first 5 episodes of Gotham.
Because it wasn't what it said it was going to be. This is the season of villains. It's dumb.
I have said this. I need to watch season 3, but I watched the first 2 seasons. Gotham would be a good show if you didn't know the Batman mythos.
Tell that to Fish Mooney.
Well, okay, minus the one character. But I say that, but you know when I was enjoying the show the most? Most of season 2 when she wasn't in it. Like, most of the beginning scenes was really good.
Sorry, that
Like, really good. The
line-
Azrael story arc was really good.
the line, "I'm Fish Mooney, bitch," is unforgivable.
You fine? Don't forgive Jada Pinkett Smith,
I don't.
But don't hold it against what's his face who plays Jim Gordon. I can't think
Ben
of his name.
McKenzie.
Guy from the OC.
Yeah, don't hold it against Guy from the OC, Ben McKenzie,
Hey, that guy's track record on point.
and don't hold it against the best Harvey Bullock wasted in the Gotham universe.
Yeah.
Like, move that man. I want to see that man with Affleck in a scene. Done.
That'd be great.
Like, where's that scene? So, anywho, last bit of headlines before we move on. Ubisoft has announced a new game based on James Cameron's Avatar from the Division developer.
I think that sounds great.
I don't know who the Division developer is from Massive Entertainment, but they're working alongside Fox Interactive and James Cameron Studios' Lightstorm Entertainment to build a Snowdrop engine that powered the Division, which I think is a game.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a game.
I'm not a gamer.
It's like a MMO, like a multiplayer, massive multiplayer online role playing game, but it's with guns and it's kind of more third person shooter. It was okay, but it didn't live up to what it was supposed to be.
Right, so not superhero sports or South Park. I'm out.
Right. Oh, it's all South Park based though.
Well then, damn, I should know.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
Weird.
I'm slipping.
Joe, when you were a kid, just to do a strong tangent, did you ever play the backyard sports on computer, like backyard baseball?
No, I never played computer games because I didn't have a computer until I was 14.
Oh, those games were great.
Wonderful.
You'd like pick the local street kids.
See, that's the thing. It was only with the later generations that I got out. Like, I used to play a lot of like obscure titles, or not even obscure titles, but the mainstream
like Joust.
Not Joust.
Fuck you guys.
That was the same time when like NFL Street and NFL Blitz were coming out.
Yeah, and NBA Street.
Oh, those games were great though. Those weren't obscure. Those were in it.
No, but I mean, I would play. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to go through my gaming history because I'm. Anyway,
it's not much of a history.
There is a history until PS3.
Okay.
But there's a history until
you
PS3.
became an adult.
Yeah.
All right.
So, anywho, Avatar game, yay or nay? No release date announced yet. No surprise because the movies don't have.
I say yay.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I don't need this.
Why? I mean,
Because James Cameron knocked on somebody's door and was like, "I need a video game."
I don't think
Immersive.
James Cameron, I think, is very upset that the fact that he had the biggest movie on the planet that
Everyone
no one
hates it.
remembers a damn thing about.
It's Pocahontas in space.
Right, but no one remembers a damn thing about that movie.
Unobtainium. Isn't that what it's called?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you.
Rarium. Isn't the element called like
Something really stupid.
yeah, like it's like tough to get metal. And they're just like, let's just call it that.
Well, that's the thing. This is the only thing he has going for him. I would be more excited if he came out tomorrow and was like, yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tom Arnold signed on for True Lies 2. I'd be like, yes! Don't care. Rather have that than Avatar 2.
That's wildly unlikely.
It is. But tell me that one between the two of Avatar 2 and True Lies 2, which would you rather see?
What if you said that they've signed on for True Lies 2, 3, and 4, and the prequel True Lies 6?
Prequel True Lies.
Back in Black.
Still more excited than the Avatar news.
That's fair. I could also put a turd on a paper plate and you'd be more excited about that than Avatar. Think about it. If I told you there was only one, I wasn't going to give you 5 more turds on a paper plate.
You're right, but it's only because I have so many questions. Like, why is this on the paper plate? Did you do this? Did you do it in front of people?
Whose is it?
Yeah. Why is it there?
You'll have to wait for the prequel.
3 wise. 3 wise.
Radio.
With Logan out in theaters this week, we thought we'd take a look at our second week of the X-Men sweeps by coming up with our own versions of how superheroes should go out. So as we were talking about earlier, Logan is basically the definitive end to
The Swan Song.
the Swan Song to the Hugh Jackman Wolverine story. And in the comics, there's been multiple versions, I guess, now of the Wolverine Swan Song. There's his...
Does anyone know the origin of the term Swan Song?
No.
Probably like Swan Lake or whatever. What's that ballet? It's Swan Lake, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Swan Lake's the ballet he's thinking of. I don't know if it's the origin or
maybe the last song is called Swan Song.
It is. The origin is the early 19th century, suggested by German Schwanengesang. It is based on a song that was fabled to be sung by a dying swan.
Interesting. Okay.
From the origin that swans, before they die, they sing a beautiful song and then die.
Well, something like that. It's not. I've heard dying ducks before. It's not pretty.
Swans are also assholes.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking geese.
Oh, I am.
Swans are assholes because they're above it all. Not because they go after you, but because they're like pretentious.
They're pretentious assholes.
Look at how beautiful I are. If two of us come next to each other, it's a heart. Like, fuck that, man. You know humans that are like the swans of humans.
Yeah.
I can name 3 of them right now, but I won't.
So
They live in Chicago.
Is it me?
No, it's not you.
No.
So what we're getting at, though, is that Wolverine...
Back on point.
Yeah, the Logan story is the last story for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. In the comics, there's the death of Wolverine. There's also Old Man Logan. Batman has a few ones that are out there, like
Everybody's got
Batman
one.
Beyond. That's the thing. Does everyone have one? I don't think everyone have, especially the X-Men. I guess we think of Logan as like the final X-Men one as well, but
He is
there
the
are
greatest X-Men.
Depends on how you're talking. I mean,
Besides Gold Balls.
We just went over this last week. I mean, not an Omega level, so clearly not even
Gold
close
Ball,
to
well, you don't know if he's Omega level yet.
He has complete prosperity over all balls. And
Charlie, my brother from our good sister, slutty sister podcast, or whatever they call it, sexy step cousin or something like that. What's the name of their podcast?
Movie
Versus. There it is. I'm on a roll here.
Keep going.
Did tell me that he is able to emit infinite balls.
Okay.
So there is no limit. Omega. Let's get back on track here.
So those are some of the famous ones. Like we said, Batman has a couple famous ones of like the Batman Beyond stories.
Soups has one.
Soups does. So I was getting to that. Superman does have
Spider-Man's
one. Whatever
got
happened to
one.
Man Tomorrow.
Actually, Soups has 2 now.
Oh, I get.
Remember when New 52 when they made a new Superman? They're like, yeah, fuck this guy, he's dead.
I wouldn't count that.
No, me neither. That's
But
garbage.
Man of Tomorrow is the definitive one to the Silver Age Superman storyline. So we'll get to. So you said Spider-Man has one though.
I'm pretty sure Spider-Man's got one. I mean, like
I'm unaware of that.
There was
actually.
There was the Spider-Man No More story arc.
Yeah, but that's just him quitting Spider-Man, then he comes back real quick. That's not.
Okay, well, no, he doesn't have one because he has the one where like he gets married to Mary Jane.
Yeah.
You know, but they're continuing that still, so it's not like
Exactly. I mean, there's been times that have normally they close a chapter. They're either a one shot that's set way in the future, or it's a chapter that closes. Like, but we were just talking about with the Superman one is the end of the Silver Age Superman. It's the end of the godlike Superman, and it's this two-part thing written by Alan Moore where all of Superman's villains break out. I think they hold Jimmy Olsen hostage.
Some
and
of his
everything
only
else.
good work.
And he basically, this story's being told by Lois Lane the entire time, and it's left ambiguous after the final battle whether this godlike creature lives or dies. And as the story ends up being finished told, like her husband walks out and like this bearded man in glasses or whatever, and clearly it's like the reader knows, but everyone else like in the world is left to find it ambiguous. It walks out a different person, but it's Clark Kent, not called Clark Kent, and it's like, oh, he just retired, and I was like, I'm done with this. So there's that. I believe Red Sun had a definitive ending as well. That was kind of nice.
Yeah, but that's an Elseworld tale.
A lot of them are though. I mean,
no, that's not a great ending.
He just lives forever and like keeps watching the world change. I mean, that's as for Superman, that's about as good as it gets. Like,
Let's say retire. I mean, that's interesting because can he retire? Like,
can anyone retire?
with that,
and that goes
again,
back to
classic
Logan as
great
well.
power, great responsibility. Like, at what point does your responsibility? I think there's a difference between the godlike Kryptonian powers of Superman versus like
The Dark Knight Returns of Batman.
no,
Okay.
the killing machine of Wolverine and being like, I'm retired. For the most part, like that's kind of a good thing in terms of like death to humans or mutants. It's in the positive.
So if you had to write any hero, if you had to write a Swan Song going out, what would it be? One of my favorites is they didn't pull the trigger on it, but they had the possibility to do it. There's a great 4-issue arc in Batman Beyond comics where Bruce Wayne is dying from what is essentially his liver is failing on him because of all like the medicine and antitoxins he's had to pop into his body over the years.
Yeah.
And he's on his deathbed. And I'm like, just pull the trigger. Like, this would be a great way to send Bruce Wayne out. Like, this is what gets him. Like, yes, it makes sense. Just do it. And they don't. But like, to me, and I have some other ones, but if you were going to send Bruce Wayne out, that's how you do it. You
Does
can
this
still
have to be a
hold the
death?
Dark Knight. It doesn't have to be a death, but it has to be. They never put on the costume again. Like, they are never doing this again.
Oh, see.
Not like Dark Knight Returns. Like, I might do it again. Like, no, it does. They don't have to die, but can never. They are
that's
a
the
different
thing,
person.
and I think we both agree on this. Batman is the only hero. He's the only one for me. Mm-hmm. He does not take it off. He
dies in the costume?
No, he doesn't die. But it's the same thing that we said. His swan song is the fight goes on.
Okay, so you just never see
whatever rhyme or reason, but he does not get an ending.
And you say that, but there's a great crossover event in 1991 called Armageddon 2001. And if I can find the comic, I'll let you borrow it. Because I still remember this very vividly. It's like The Dark Knight Returns, and he puts back on the costume, and it's got an old Selina, and it's got a Tim Drake who's still Robin and well into his 30s, and it is the in my mind, even more so than The Dark Knight. Like, I enjoyed this one-issue story better than any Batman story I've seen. This one goes out, like, the Joker dies a certain way. It kind of ends like the Killing Joke. Like, it's the end crescendo to what makes Batman Batman. So, I mean, that is kind of funny, but I do like that what you talk about. You know, his fight, like, it does go on.
Well, because his fight is against the bad in people, and that doesn't change. Even in, like, that's the thing, is, like, there is no utopia. Like, there is bad in people, there is evil in people.
Almost kind of like he fades into the sunset
even if
one day and just stays the legend.
But that's the thing. I don't care how it goes down. Like, I'm also okay if the end is like Batman Begins, where he finally realizes.
Oh, the Dark Knight trilogy.
No. Sorry. Batman Beyond, where it's like he can't put the suit on anymore, and he like hangs up the suit and shuts it down for the first bit, but then you see him walk away, and you think like this is over, and then the lights come on, and there's a supercomputer, and he's either like working on like a prototype bat suit or some kind of like mech bat army or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, Bruce Wayne, Batman is Bruce Wayne. Like, that's
right.
There is nothing else. That's the only thing that I didn't like. I appreciate Phantasm, but the idea that he's like, yes, I can finally put all this away. Like, to me, that doesn't click. I get it. Great movie, love it, but that doesn't click to me.
Okay.
Which is why I love him.
Okay.
Love Batman. Sure.
I love him so much. I think he deserves no happiness.
Damn.
Some might say that's true love. So, what other heroes do you have? I mean, is there a definitive ending to anyone else that if you had to write an ending to someone, where do you start?
Spider-Man. Spider-Man gets married and has a kid. That's the ending.
Spider-Man.
So renew your vows.
It's the opposite of Batman. What?
That's already a thing.
Yeah, but it didn't end that way. Because he got married, and he currently got married and has a kid. But I think I think we get into a problem where we.
Did he get married a second time? So the first time he got married, Mephisto
erased it.
Yeah.
So the renew your vows story, I think, is if I'm not mistaken, is kind of like a alternate reality.
Yeah,
like
it's a
what
what
if they
if.
stayed married, sort of thing. But I don't know.
But so what I'm kind of looking at here, what I'm doing here, the way I'm kind of going about it differently is it's to me, how does this character end? Not in a sense of, well, in the comics he has a kid right now and it's going on. It's like to me, Batman fights forever. To me, Spider-Man, the way that I read Spider-Man is, to me, his ending would be he does marry Mary Jane. They do have a kid. Because before then, he's fighting. I like the idea of it ending with Mary Jane being pregnant, having a kid, and then he hangs up the mantle of Spider-Man because he realizes now he has to be a hero.
I would even go a different way on that. Close, because
I really like that, though.
There's another
that's
way.
The idea is like that's the only thing that hit the great power comes great responsibility, but now his responsibility is his child.
Well,
and that's what gets him to hang up.
Very close. And there's another
Very
thing.
close? No, nothing.
Hang on.
That's mine.
Wait, I know. I'm agreeing with you. Mine would be very close to yours.
Okay.
So
say that. Just say
Very close to the right
how
answer
God,
to the
how God wanted it to end. You're close, but me being God, let me break it down for you. He gets hit by a car.
You've described 7/8 of all religion. No, I'm very close to the way you say, but there's two ways. So either you go with a drastic change and a kind of sacrificial ending, or you bring it full circle. And I thought the Ultimate Universe did a very good job of bringing it full circle, where him and Green Goblin and Octopus and Dr. Octopus all kind of killed themselves. Not killed themselves, but killed each other in a big battle, where this was where this ultimate like freak show kicked off. This is where the super soldier enhancement kind of kicked off. With the 616 Spider-Man, which is the
Main
code for the main continuity of Marvel, you have him marry Mary Jane, but I don't think they have kids. I like the idea of him adopting and kind of becoming an Uncle Ben
to
and
his
Aunt May type scenario to a new child. And I'm almost okay with he dies the same way Uncle Ben dies and inspires his own new generation of, so maybe it's not to be Spider-Man, but to be a police officer or something else. Like you have that kind of inspirational moment, and maybe it's not death, but he has that inspirational talk with someone who then goes on to carry on the good fight in a different form or fashion.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, it's just a little less ambiguous than mine is. I like having like an idea of what the ending is, because you could say with Spider-Man, you could say like, well, the ending is he has a kid and he has a newfound responsibility. So that always, I mean, I guess it's a stupid way, but that always leaves, if you wanted to pick it back up, you could, or in your mind as the reader, you could say, well, I bet this is actually what happens. Like, he puts on the suit again because of something, or something causes, like, you're able to paint the picture of what continues on in your head based on what you want it to be, because that's what these characters are, essentially. It's what you want them to be. It's how you interpret them. So that's why I would leave it a little obscure with both of those endings.
Okay. Is there anyone for either one of you that you would not leave obscure? Like you would have a definitive, if you had it your way, you would have a definitive end to what they would be.
Captain America.
And what would that be?
Kind of along the lines what they were doing with the kind of more recent comics where they like took the super soldier serum out of him and he turned older.
Does age, yeah.
So after that happens, his aging continues to kind of progress, and he kind of goes out in one final patriotic duty sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's it. He dies. Big send off, sort of like Superman send off, and that's it.
See, yeah, I would agree with that.
Go ahead.
Mine would actually be, well, if you're going to stick with Captain America, we could finish it with
Cap.
Then go ahead. Because mine's going to be a different hero.
I think you can kill Cap.
I agree.
I think you kill Cap, but his death inspires either America or it's essentially, it's kind of a twist on what
you
happened.
could put him in today's world, and his death reunites both parties into one giant thing going forward.
Yeah, maybe. And they just tear apart. But I like the idea of the ending of he inspires everyone through the way that he lived, and that's how you end. So to me, even if like Red Skull kills him or something, and then you do get like almost another revolution of the people standing up and fighting back. So you kill Captain America to me.
Absolutely.
Because then he becomes a symbol, much like
what he
started.
Becomes the American flag. Like
exactly.
He stands for something greater than one man.
Yeah, and if I had to kill anything like that, and like that was their death to mean something in almost a certain way, is I would go Aquaman. Because what I've always wanted in my head since I saw Mad Max Fury Road, what if you kind of remake that same movie, but Mad Max is Arthur Curry? Like, you still have, what is it, Mojo or Big Joe or Big Mojo, whatever the dude.
Big Momo Mojo.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
Big Momo Mojo.
I don't remember what his name was, but he's basically holding all the water hostage of the entire thing. And of course, as Atlanteans, like, they have a prolonged period of life, but they need water to live. So if he were to lead this kind of revolution in a deserted wasteland of, after the planet's kind of dried up, of getting back, this thing of water to the people, like, it would kind of show of where he's came from, what he was, and the adoptive homeland that he's taken in one giant story. And I think more so than anything, you could combine elements of Logan, of Man of Tomorrow. Like, there's a lot of Aquaman that you could do. You could take bits and pieces and kind of create an epic send-off for him.
Okay. Did you think he dies?
Yes.
Interesting.
So you could have kind of a post-apocalyptic, like, getting back, because most post-apocalyptic things usually delve back into, like, nature eventually reigns supreme. And, okay.
And I think that would be best, because you either have that or you have Waterworld, and no one wants to see Waterworld. I mean, Kevin Costner basically was kind of Aquaman if we think about it. He had gills. So
Costner's jack of all trades.
Wonderful.
Hey, the man can try and stop a tornado by putting up his hand, but fail. So, just saying.
You thought it was going to work.
Logan, what did you do?
Charles, the world is not the same as it was. Mutants. They're gone now.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel.
So we're going to do this review a little differently than we normally do. Normally we go straight into spoilers, not intentionally, but basically just kind of better.
It's easier.
Yeah, it is easier. It's easier just to kind of talk about the film and review it. But instead, this way, what's going to happen is we're going to put out a second podcast this Friday, kind of breaking down the story elements of Logan and kind of giving what would be our normal review of Logan, and giving you about a 20-minute cast where we do spoil the story and talk more about our favorite parts and what is good. But first and foremost, we can say without a doubt, and without spoiling anything for you, this is a magnificent movie.
This is, to me,
absolutely,
this is the new gold standard.
This is a great movie.
There's some caveats with that, though. For me personally, I have a lot of interesting. Well, maybe it's not interesting to other people, but to me, like, there's a lot of things that go into what I think about this movie.
Yeah.
Like to me, this movie was fantastic, but I also think that this movie doesn't work for every character, and I also think that this movie is aided by the fact that we've had Hugh Jackman in this role for 17 years, so it resonates.
Yeah.
So to me, those are kind of things that you can't just thrust a Spider-Man's first movie and get something like this. But I think that it had a build up that wasn't.
See, I would argue against that, but we'll have to argue that in spoilers.
Fine.
But I would argue against that. So anyway, what we're going to do though is instead though, because we all do agree though that regardless, this is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
With the Academy Awards just finishing up, we're going to take the time and figure out which 3 awards this movie should be nominated for next Academy Awards. Yep. Because you don't see, unless you were the Dark Knight apparently, you don't see comic book movies get nominated for major awards. But this movie should be nominated for major awards because
I'll be very upset if
just as a movie, this was fantastic. Take comic books completely out of the equation. Take out the fact that people have mutant powers. This is still a great movie.
It's a modern day Western. Mm-hmm. And a modern day Western was nominated for Best Picture this year with Hell or High Water.
There you go.
So, bam, the math adds up.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, I would nominate it for Best Actor, Hugh Jackman.
Absolutely.
It'd be tough to
I would
get
agree
to,
with that.
But he sells, and this is similar to, if anybody's going to give it Best Supporting for 23, he sells this movie so much with his eyes and with his emotions and with the way that he just kind of carries himself. It also just, I think maybe he also gets more credit because he beats himself so much. Like, he beats his other renditions of Wolverine so much in this movie.
And it's funny you say it because in interviews he's talked about the only time he ever gets excited about doing another Wolverine or another movie in general where he plays the same part is if he figures out a way that I can do it better. Or I can approach this from a different angle. Or how can I make this one different from the last 5 installments? Which is also another reason why he talked about he doesn't want to do another one after this. Is because he's like, I have finally played this character the way
to its fullest capacity.
Yes, to where if you would have asked me the first time, he's like, I maybe didn't know certain ways I wanted to do the character, to portray the healing factor, to portray the anger, to portray, the history behind the character. And maybe he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't know all the backstory and what is 2000s X-Men. But he's like, this person knows who he is. This person is the most mature he's ever going to get in this character. So I now can learn from these past 7 experiences and give you the performance that I think deserves of this character.
8 experiences.
7. I'm not counting fuck off in First Class. So
It's a powerful moment.
I
could take something from that. I could grow from that.
Fair.
To me, he deserves it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we haven't seen anything that comes off, but if that were to pop up and say he deserves it, or if that were to pop up, I wouldn't be like, what? More so than if, I mean, it's hard to say, but maybe he didn't give the best portrayal of a character that we've ever seen out of a character, but I felt the strongest about his portrayal of this character than I have about anyone else's portrayal of a superhero.
Agreed.
In recent memory, yes. I'm always, and maybe it's because I am a Superman fan, but I'm always going to say Christopher Reeve donning Superman for the first time.
That's fair. And like, I want to give it, and that's a big thing that I'll push later on, is I want to give credit to, like Ben Affleck as Batman or anybody else as Batman, but like, because that's my favorite, but it pales in comparison. I wish it didn't, but it does.
So, all right, moving on. What other ones would we look for?
I would give it best. It's hard to just throw these things up, but I would give it best director.
I was going to say director too. Just because, like, honestly, like, just the, it's not like anything revolutionary, but like just the shots that he has in this movie, like, are fantastic. Like it's. I don't know the terminology to put into words what I'm trying to say, but like he was able to capture and properly the moments that were being portrayed. And it's just like, yeah, I guess that's the best I can say.
I would actually go a different way on that. If you're going to give it best director, which is actually out of all the ones I probably would fall back on, but if you were going to give it best director, it's because of the vision he has to get the most out of the characters in these moments. Because it's very much a character film.
That's what I was
say. Because I would already also say, we said best actor, but I would also say best supporting actor and best supporting actress are two that we can talk about that I would give it to. And it's the director's ability to get those performances out of those people and out of the moments that you see, that if you wanted to give him a best director nod, that's why
I give it to him. When every actor is on point, that's a director knowing exactly what he wants and getting it out of his team.
You want to prove this in another thing. He plays a smaller role in it, but Stephen Merchant is Caliban.
It's great.
Mm-hmm. I said to you, can he do a serious role before we even saw the movie? Remember when we were talking about Eddie Brock? He can apparently, and can do it very well. And like,
I mean, he had some ha-has in there, but
sure,
but he wasn't comedic relief.
But most of the things I remember from him are his inner struggles that we can talk about later in the film. So,
yep,
that is also. And like I said, if I had to do it, I would do best supporting actor, because we've seen Stewart in the role almost as long as we've seen Jackman in the role. But there are two moments in particular, one early in the film and one in the middle of the film, that show Stewart as an actor, show what he can do with this character, and show what he can do with a character in general. Because everyone's like talked about The Dark Knight was grounded, and that's why it should be an Oscar. The Dark Knight was grounded. Stewart grounded a man who can get into the brain of any human being on the planet. He grounded that type of character.
And he didn't even do that in the movie. He did it like maybe a little bit.
I mean, he's going through a couple of things that are very real life moments that I've seen other people in real life go through, which we'll talk about in spoilers. But he does those in a way that, like I said, it grounds Professor X.
Yep.
And and to get that out of him, and it's another reason Stewart said he's done.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you won the World Series off a walk-off homer. Like, get out.
Yeah,
like, that's it. Be remembered for this forever. I was going to give it to Best Supporting Actress for X-23.
Sure.
Because she, again, like, child actors are usually so bad. I haven't been this enamored with a child actor since the group that did Super 8. Those kids I wanted to be nominated for Ensemble, which is, again, not an award. But her ability to depict emotion and act with her eyes at that age, That's next level stuff.
Yeah.
And you can direct that too, but if you don't have that intrinsic ability to feel what this girl's feeling, which is a lot.
And that's the thing. We've seen child actors be nominated year in and year out. We've seen Abigail Brenson in Little Miss Sunshine. We've seen Kirsten Dunst in Interview for the Vampire. We saw Anna Paquin, who played Rogue in the X-Men movies, won an Academy Award for, I think, the piano or something where she was like 14 or something.
I'm not sure.
I will put on par. I can't remember her name because
Laura?
No, the actress's name. I'm sorry.
It
starts with a D, but I can't remember her actual.
Yeah, it's like Daphne or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
It's Daphne Keane.
Daphne Keane. I would put her on par with any child actor that's ever been nominated. Anyone under the age of 15 that's ever been nominated for Academy Award. She's on par, if not better, than any actress that's ever been nominated.
I hope she blows up the same way that Stupid Girl 11 has blown up from Stranger Things. Mm-hmm. Because if people feel the way that I feel about her, about 11, I get it. I still haven't watched that series, and she bothers me with those pretentious commercials, but if they feel the way about her that I feel about where I think this girl can head, I get it. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not remember, like, even Dakota Fanning and stuff. Like, there has been
Dakota Fanning.
You hate her, but I mean, I'm talking about
There's
all this
she's such
buzz
an
around
old soul.
People when they were very young, and I'm telling you, what this actress is able to do in this part, as we just talked about, with her physical emotions, not even saying lines, but physical emotions, that says something. It's on par with anything you've seen from a little kid being nominated.
But that's the thing, because a little kid that's got problems and doesn't talk is something that's a pretty standard thing. You're going to get a movie a year with that. Yeah. But to me, like, this didn't feel...
It didn't feel like that's what it was.
Didn't feel like it was anything. This just felt completely natural. And
to me, her not talking progressed the story. Yep. It wasn't, now focus on her. What's wrong with her? And that's usually the mystery when children don't talk or there's something wrong with the child. It's what's wrong with them. No. She could have been saying 7 lines in the scene, but she wasn't. And it still progressed the scene to the next thing.
Yeah. So those are my 3 noms.
So I would have to give it to best screenplay as well. Mm-hmm. Because, and you probably do adapted, right?
Original.
No.
Original. Okay.
Yeah, this was all...
Logan was old, but this isn't Old Man Logan at all.
But you say that.
It's not.
Yes, I do.
Hang on. Yeah, okay. Can I finish my statement? You say that, but you replace Xavier with the Hawkeye. You replace X-23 with the little Banner kid. There are a lot of similarities that we can go into more when we go into spoilers that are depicted from the Old Man Logan comic. They just figure out a way to not only use what they have, but they almost do a better rendition of it with what they have.
Old Man Logan's great. I think they're different. I think to me, if you say that it is like well, Logan's last ride, sure.
Here's the thing, though. I think if you include all the elements that is in Old Man Logan, though, it's not as powerful of a movie. It becomes gimmicky. It becomes...
Well, yeah, there's a T-Rex that's got a Venom symbiote in it from the Savage Lands. Yeah.
Exactly.
It reads better on the page than on the screen.
Right. So...
I won't argue that.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So... I guess it depends on your definition of adapted, because it is based on a previous source, but they adapted it in such a way...
I feel like there's...
To me, like, it blew me away that they were able to take the source material and make it their own and make a powerful movie out of it.
I would consider this an original screenplay. I feel like there's more than 50% of the screenplay that is original elements and original ideas. So, that's just me. I mean...
You can put whatever you want in front of the word screenplay, and I'll agree with your nomination.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any...
We kind of covered all the big ones.
But I mean, Best Picture. Fox needs to have the nerve, because Best Pictures, I don't know if people know this, but I've said this to multiple people when they meet me in person, after the conversation kind of delves towards movies and Oscars. Most people don't know that Best Pictures are nominated by the studio. It's why you have the big hubbub and controversy in 2008 when Milk is nominated instead of The Dark Knight. It's because Milk was what Warner Brothers nominated instead of The Dark Knight. And why? Because at the time, The Dark Knight was the second highest domestic grossing movie of all time. Mm-hmm. Milk did not do what they thought it could do.
So they wanted to
exactly
increase buzz on it.
Look at all the pictures that were nominated for Best Picture this year. I think Hidden Figures is the top grossing picture with $160 million. Most of your best pictures, like Moonlight, which one, are nominated because studios nominate powerful films that they feel can get more money from them. That is where the Oscars fail. They allow studios to nominate Best Picture. If you're going to tell me, and maybe, I don't know 20th Century Fox's lineup from now till January. I don't know it.
Yeah.
But I'll be hard-pressed to believe that they have another film coming out in 10 months that is going to be as good as a film.
Of this caliber.
Take Hugh Jackman out of the picture. Take the fact that it's mutants out of the picture. I'm talking just the story structure and the performances you got. I don't know if you're going to have a better film that's going to come out from 20th Century Fox. Mm-mm. Forget the fact that a guy has claws coming out of his hands. Forget the fact that it takes place in a world that you have to have the Marvel sign before it shows up. Forget the fact that the word superhero is attached to this film. I don't know if you're going to have a better film. Because I still argue, you could take the mutant aspect out of this film 100%, cast the same people, and it would be just as good of a film. Replace your mutant powers with some guns, put it back in the 1800s.
And then just do
just as good of a film.
That he's an ex-military guy or whatever. Yeah, it works.
Just as good of a film.
It works.
So I would argue
I
Best
like
Picture.
the claws, though.
I agree. No, I agree. And I'm saying...
There's so many of them.
And we'll get into this debate on the other cast here. But I'm just saying, I think that speaks to how well it was as a Western. Is that, in my opinion...
It's timeless.
The Dark Knight is a great superhero movie. Not the best one in the Dark Knight trilogy, but yeah. But Logan is a great movie that just happens to be about a superhero. That's how I would differentiate those two.
It's just a great movie. It's just a great movie.
See it. We saw it in IMAX. Would you say spend the extra money to see it in IMAX?
See it in the biggest fucking theater you can.
Really? I mean, do you think that added, like we talk about with like Pacific Rim or Godzilla?
It does.
Like,
to me, it does.
Okay.
It resonates better with me when I see it in that big of a theater on that scope. I think the audio also sounds better. To me, it resonates with me.
As usual, we end every episode with what's piquing our interest, where we just say what's piquing our interest. Garrett, what's piquing your interest this week?
So what's piquing my interest this week? Again, I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 15.
Cool.
And there's a secret post-game dungeon in it that I've been reading a lot of fan theory, not reading, but I've been watching these fan theory videos that revolve just around this dungeon. And there's just so much lore and mythology and story in this one dungeon alone, even though it's just the protagonist going through essentially what is a puzzle dungeon. It makes God of War puzzle dungeons look like kid stuff.
Oh, God of War puzzle dungeons were also always like, let's get to the choppy.
I know, but like still, like you take the entire difficulties of the puzzle parts of God of War, like throughout the entire game series, and put them in this one dungeon, and it pales in comparison. Like this is the kind of dungeon that's like, oh, you got to be looking at the camera the right angle, otherwise you're gonna fall off and die. And
So we're talking about like water temple levels of frustration.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And but
it's Zelda.
But there's imageries and statues in this dungeon that allude to the in-game mythology, and it's based on like real life mythology. And there's just so much detail put into this without actually outright saying like this is what this is, sort of thing. And it's just mind-boggling, and just like the design and the details and the mythology and lore, it blows my mind.
Nice.
And
cool.
I just love it. It's great.
That's what games are doing now. The cookie cutter games don't really do as well anymore. People want interesting story, interesting characters, interesting worlds.
Sam, what's piquing your interest this week?
Piquing my interest is also a game. Best $15 you can spend right now, and the best use of PlayStation virtual reality virtual reality I've seen. This is a game that I played with a friend yesterday, Steve, again, called Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. If anybody's heard of this game. So,
No.
This is a multiplayer game, but we played it with 2 people. One person has the virtual reality console on their head, and the controller. The other person is just looking at the screen with the controller. The person with the virtual reality headset on is disarming a bomb. And they can only look at the bomb, and there's a series of modules that can be on it. Like some are cutting wires, some are like button inputs, some are like hieroglyphs that you have to decipher. The only way for them to know what to do is to say what they see to the other player, and the other player is going through a manual on the computer or on the screen that says how to decipher each thing. It sounds like it wouldn't be fun for the person that's reading it.
I want to play this after we're done.
But
so
it's so engaging because the person with the thing will be, okay, I've got 6 wires and one of them's yellow and 2 of them are red and one of them's blue. And then I'm looking at the manual saying, okay, well, if one wire is yellow, look at what the serial number is on the bottom of the box. Is there a vowel in it? Okay, then you need to, is there a red wire? Okay, those 3 things don't add up. Okay, cut the 4th wire. Cut, next module. Like, it's very engaging. You have 5 minutes. And also, while you're in the VR, the lights in the room can, like, shut off. And so you're, like, stuck and you have to wait until they come back on. And it's incredibly engaging. And the level of teamwork that you do, like, I wasn't super stoked about the game, but as soon as I played it, hooked. It was so cool.
How quick is the turnover rate in that game? Like, you said you played in one night. Did you only play once? Like, did you play 2 or 3 times? Like, how long would a game last?
So one round is 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
One bomb event is 5 minutes. It's essentially mini games.
Okay.
One bomb is 5 minutes. I was going to play it for like 2 rounds and then go home because I had to go to work. We ended up playing probably 20 or 30 rounds.
Oh, wow.
Oh, dude, it's
a quick game that you can get.
It's a quick game and you just want to keep going.
That's the best game.
And because it's completely random. Like, whatever the modules are completely random. $15, like, best use of virtual reality. Again, virtual reality is meant to be kind of quirky.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole point, is it's different. It's kind of like, it's niche. Oh, dude, it was so cool. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, I believe is the name of the game.
Available on both Xbox and PlayStation, or
only on PSVR.
Only on
I don't know if
PSVR.
it's available on other virtual realities, but right now
sure.
Xbox doesn't have one.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Dope. Joe, what about you? Piquing your interest?
What's piquing my interest is practical effects this week. I cannot remember the actor's name, but we were talking a little bit about this before the cast. But there is a bunch of people lately who's been complaining about the latest Alien Covenant trailer, that the alien doesn't look good in the current Alien Covenant trailer. Like, oh, that looks so fake. Oh, you can clearly see the CGI. Oh, you can do this. And that's just, listen, when I talk at the beginning of the cast every week and I say all things media related, this falls into the all things media related because everyone on social media has a voice and everyone's able to use that voice. But sometimes people use that voice without actually doing any research on what they're talking about.
You could also say most times.
Most times people do that, use that voice without doing any research that it actually is about. And what happens is that it turns out that the alien is not CGI at all. The alien is a practical effects person. The alien is an actor. He's a Spanish actor, and I can't remember his name.
It's not Doug Jones, is it?
No, it's not
Okay,
Doug
Jones is a big one for that stuff. But.
Right. But no, he's a specific kind of actor, and one of his claim to fame is he's been in the Rex series, which is the found footage series that's all in Spanish, and it's kind of what Cloverfield was loosely based off of, I want to say. But it's like the apocalypse, and it's like a zombie outbreak, and you've seen a couple. Have you found his name, or?
No.
Oh, okay. But anyway, so, I mean, if you can see a picture of this guy. Just Google Alien Covenant actor, not CGI or whatever.
Yeah.
And you'll see, and his arms were, like, freaking huge. And
He's got very long arms.
Very long arms. But, I mean, that's what it is. Like, he's just a freakishly looking man who gets in these practical effects things. So it's funny when you see people say, oh, man. And then you had the director come out and talk about how, listen, there's a lot that's CGI in this film. That's
Javier Botet.
Okay, yeah. I know he's a Spanish actor, but the director came out and said, this is the one thing that's definitely not CGI. So I don't know what anyone's talking about.
Don't get me wrong. There's so much CGI in this, but this one isn't it.
Yeah,
and I'm a little insulted.
As he should be. I mean, I would be insulted. I mean, there's nothing that That's what I'm saying. There's nothing
he
that sounds
plays the
worse.
lady.
Yeah.
in Wreck. Yeah, that's a great movie.
He's been in other ones of those as well. So that's what's happening and what's piquing my interest. Anyway, if you have a voice on social media, why don't you reach out and talk to us? There's many different ways you can do so.
Yeah.
You can email us by contacting us via 3wiseradio@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at 3wiseradio / #3wiseradio. Find us on Instagram at 3wiseradio or on Facebook at 3Wise Media. Our sister podcast, Movie Versus, comes out every Thursday. And if you like bad movies with bad CGI, you can check them out as well. They pit 2 movies that score below 25%, I believe.
60%.
60%.
Failing grade.
So the failing grade, 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, is what they're forced to see, and then they're forced to convince a third party on which movie is better.
This week they are doing Great Wall and what's Fist Fight, or what is it? What's the one with the school fight?
Fist Fight.
Is it Fist Fight? Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two will be battling
Ice Cube
each other.
and
Charlie Day.
Charlie
Day. Yep.
So that's pretty good.
All right.
Also, friends of the show, Good, Bad, or Bad, Bad. I believe they come out every Sunday.
Correct, or every other Sunday.
Every other
or,
Sunday.
I'm not the right person for this.
Anyway, check them out as well because they are friends of the show. That's going to do it for us this week. Join us next week when we're going to review Kong and talk about giant monster movies.
Kajus.
Those.
Yeah.
And all of its kajooey goodness.
Kajooey?
3 Wise Radio is a production of 3 Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.